to learn from you guys, to receive some knowledge, wisdom, and understanding as well. And I think it's going to be a very great event today and tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Okay, good morning, everybody. My name is Kelvin Onyema. I'm a pastor of Life for Christian Center in Utrecht. I'm also a founder of Jubilee Foundation. I'm an engineer. I work with heat pumps all over the Netherlands. And yeah, I'm here to just see what we can work together. This is my wife here. We work together also. Thank you.
My name is Richeline Valentina. I'm not from Africa, I'm from the Caribbean, but I live like 25 years already in Holland. I'm working with Pastor Kelvin. We are the founder, I'm a secretary in the Jubilee Foundation, and I'm an elder in the Life for Christian Center in Utrecht. And this is my husband.
My name is Hendrik Valentina. I have a barbershop business in Rotterdam. And we work also with Pastor Kelvin Onyema. We are from Life Christian Center, and we are also leader in the church to develop children. That's it.
My name is Jonathan Ngbejume. I'm the chairman of Nigerian Trade Center and also a representative to Omnivent, a storage facility in the Netherlands. Thank you.
So I'll give the opportunity to you to introduce your stand.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Good morning. My name is Faith. I'm the CEO of Afrochic Empire Amsterdam. I'm a hairstylist, a makeup artist, and also I sell Turkish wares and Dubai wares. So yeah, we live in Amsterdam.
Thank you.
Thank you. There were some people who joined us later. So, Your Excellency.
Hello, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. You're welcome to this year's business summit. I am Her Excellency, Chief Princess Mrs. Nwanne Campo, Eminent Peace Ambassador, and I am one of the members of the planning committee. I'm very happy to see you all. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you.
Yes.
Good morning. My name is Nima Jodama. I'm originally from the Gambia. I'm based in Berlin. I'm a journalist by profession, so I run a small media outlet and also a community builder.
Okay. Madam.
Good morning. My name is Sandra. I'm the wife of Pastor Elvis, the host of this event.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Hello, everybody. I am the lady with a magical energy. So please come to this table and taste it. My name is Corina from Romania. I am a trainer and a writer, but I really love people. And now I am here to give some presents, complementary medicine, because I have patches with the plants and a lot of results. That's why with my friend Albena, I am here to give some presents, and maybe we should do this in Africa. Why not? Because it's easy to use and a lot of results. Thank you very much. Nice to meet you. Yes, and if you put your card, we have business card or name, we have a giveaway. Why not? We give some presents. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. As you can see, there are a lot of things. Let's give the pastor.
Will give you the mic for the opening prayer.
Well, it is a privilege welcoming you here in the house. Can we all stand together? Also had a privilege, to travel to the beautiful continent of Africa. Been in Kenya, been in Nigeria. One thing I have to tell you though, it's very hot there. So you have to really get used to that, right? So I hope here in Holland you get used to the weather here. But before we start, I think it's very good that we all bow our heads in reverence and honor to God Almighty. Can we do that together? Father, we thank you, Lord, for this wonderful time together. A time orchestrated, Lord, by you, by the one, Father, that you inspired to do so. Lord, in all those years we have seen a development amazing. Thank you, Lord, for your hand upon your Son. Thank you, Lord, for this time today as we are gathered together in your holy name. We cannot start, Father, without your blessing. So this morning we ask you to bless this day and tomorrow. Father, in all that we have prepared, in all that we will hear, God, in the participation, Father, and all that we can do together. Father, thank you, Lord. And at the end, Lord, in all, may you receive glory and honor. This we pray in Jesus' name. And everybody say, Amen.
Let's give the man of the moment a chance to just welcome everyone.
Everybody should be seated. Good morning, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I'm so happy and so delighted to stand before you this morning and to welcome you officially to the Voice Business Forum and Achievers Award 2023. It has taken us another 1 year to put this together. Last year, August 20th, we were in the Gambia. And we there said we are coming back home. It has taken 4 years to be back in the Netherlands. So I think it's an exciting time for all of us. So I want to welcome you this morning. And I respectfully say, enjoy this day. As your chief host, I will do my best to give you all the attention and the necessary support that will make this a success. We have commenced this event today to discuss Africa and to showcase our businesses and services through exhibition that you will see around the hall and through the speakers that will be addressing us. It is obvious that Africans are more than the narratives that we read in the media and that we hear on the international NGOs and organizations. Today is another opportunity before us to listen, to learn, to share, and to discuss our common interests and values as Africans and friends of Africa. The concept of the Voice Magazine project was because of the bankrupt narratives about Africa by mischievous persons and their sponsors to keep Africa poor and to keep Africa undeveloped. The trend has propelled us over the past 24 years when we began the Voice Magazine to reverse those ill-informed stories about Africa, and hence the emergence of the Voice Magazine. The question today is, has the narrative changed over the years? Obviously, I don't think it has changed. But today, we can contribute in an effort to change the narrative. And I know with the people that we have gathered here, with our potentials and God-given ability, we are going to do it, not just for today, but for tomorrow. I've refused to see the dark side of the African continent, not because I am blind to the things happening there. However, I have decided to shake up ideas of optimism rather than pessimism. We are good at arguing of what we should have been, but we are never not. We are good at arguing of what is not good, but I would prefer that we argue about finding solutions to our identified problems as Africans. So this is the task for us today as progressive-minded people, that we have a fruitful discussion. We will contribute. So let's start this forum with that in mind, that we can accomplish whatever we set our minds to do. Thank you all, and welcome again to this beautiful city of Almere in the Netherlands, where the Voice magazine is based. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Pastor Elvis. Wow. As I said, I'm happy to see people taking photos. Please, I just want to remind you that we are trending, and let's trend. So the hashtag today is TVAA2023. Please, let's take those photos and make everyone aware that we are here today. As Pastor Elvis say, we have Africans, friends of Africans, and as you can, from Caribbean, you will see a lot. We are from Middle East and all that. The Voice is a networking place, and I keep on repeating that. Make sure the person sitting next to you, you have something good to take from now until tomorrow. There are a lot of things. Personally, I've learned a lot of things, a lot of good organizations doing great work, mental health, helping kids and all that. There are a lot of things you need to learn. But I don't want to bore you with stories. I want us to get going. I just want to remind everyone, maybe if you arrive late a bit, on the right side, if we want to relieve ourselves, gents side are there, while for our ladies, sisters, mothers behind there, you just walk behind there, there is a place. And also, there are stands behind you. Those stands will be full. There are a lot. If you take a break, walk to those stands, get to know what is happening, what is going on, and a lot of products, a lot of information, healing, and all that. Without further ado, I want to take this opportunity to invite Professor Dr. Ernest Joseph Franken to give us a small, Doc, you are welcome, to give us a small speech, and he's talking about something which is very close to my heart. Doctor is going to talk about doing business with Africa and his personal experience. But that is not the icing on it. Please listen to the tips. Please give Doctor applause of a hand as he comes to the podium.
Distinguished people, it's a great honor for me to be here and give a talk about Africa. I'm born in Germany. It's far away from Africa, but the Germans did not very well to some African countries, as a lot of European countries. In 2017, I get in touch with Nigeria, and I was there for 5 times more. In 2020, I founded the organization Legionnaire for Mankind's Health, with special focus to develop a proper healthcare system, an education system in Nigeria, and especially in the Edo State and Delta State. There are many man-made problems in Africa, and I repeat, man-made. When I look at the population growth between 2017 and 2023, 6 years in Nigeria, the population raised from 170 million to 230 million. This is a raise of about 60 million people. In Netherlands, I came to Netherlands in 2003, and now in 2023, the population raised from 16 million to 17, 1 million in 20 years. My last visit in August this year, I saw many babies, little children at the age beyond 6, living in extreme poverty, without a future from the very beginning. You should know 1 out of 5 children dies before the age of 5 in Nigeria. These are 20%. In Netherlands, 1 out of 10,000. This is 0.0%. And this is not genetic, and this is not, it's man-made. Some facts of Nigeria in Africa. In Nigeria, 80% of the population younger than 40 years. 60% don't have a regular job. There are poor government schools with any qualified teachers. There is, on the countryside, no primary healthcare system, no adequate midwifery, and no adequate postnatal care. And the hygienic situation is terrible. There are 40 million people without sanitation and proper toilets. And there is no adequate quality food that can be afforded by the normal people. 35 million children in Nigeria are malnourished. That is the highest number in whole Africa and in the world. 51 to 85% of the population of sub-Saharan Africa do not have access to electricity. We must imagine this. When I couldn't load my phone, I don't feel comfortable. But there is no electricity at all. Estimates ranged from 10 of thousands to over 120,000 child soldiers in Africa, ranging from age 7 to 17 years. Children with weapons, killing. In Nigeria, over 80 million adults. This is 1/3 of the population are illiterates. They can't read and write. And it is estimated that in 2050, 1/3 of the human population on the planet will live in Africa. And if nothing changed, 1/3 of this population will face extreme poverty. Malnutrition. Malnutrition is the main source of violence, aggression, addictions, and early death. In whole Africa, violence is on the rise. Poor people eat high-caloric staple food without healthy proteins, essential vitamins, and minerals. And babies, children, and women suffer most. Modern slavery. I say modern slavery. Africa suffered slavery from the very beginning since 400 years, but now there is a kind of modern slavery that keeps population poor without the possibility to escape, because a lot of people have to earn their daily living every day, and they don't have any possibility to make savings or to do something to improve their life and to get out of the poverty. Born poor, live poor, die poor. This is the motto. Poverty results in hunger. Everybody in Delta State and Edo State, I know some families there which I support. Malaria is normal. Cholera, AIDS, and high infant death rates lowers the overall living standard in African countries. But on the other hand, there is also there are rich people. The 5 richest men in Africa have an asset of $30 billion. The richest man would have to spend $1 million a day for more than 40 years before he would run out of fortune. This is shocking. This is really shocking. And when I was there and I saw these little children, they are born in a world without a future, but they don't know it. They don't know it. They are accustomed. I couldn't use a toilet in this because it was not possible. Structural inequality and lack of access to resources, lack of limited access to education and health care prevent people from opportunities, and this is perpetuated by corrupt governments and institutions. The poverty trap in Nigeria, and I don't know so much about other countries, government corruption, administrations, institutions corruptions, and lack of education. When you are there and you want to reach something, you have to have money in your pocket, and without 1,000 naira to get something, you get nothing. So not only the government is corrupt, but also the poor people, because they need it for their daily life. And they make a happy face if you give them 1,000 naira. This is about $2 or not more. Africa still suffers from colonialism. Resources are still controlled by the first world. They enforce their own laws, and I speak about Europe, the US, and now also about China. They enforce their own laws, customs, and exploit African labor. They want to keep people poor because they need the labor to get cheap resources like oil and other supplements we need in our, for example, in our mobiles. And luckily, mobiles are already normal in Africa. This is communication. Communication will better the situation because the African people now will see what is going on around the world, and they don't need to believe anything what they hear from the corrupt governments. Why are so many military coups recently in Africa? Because there is no real democracy. Maybe in some country there is a development of good democracy who is taking care of their people. But people are tired voting in vain without any change. Situation of common people and poverty levels constantly getting worse, not better. And there won't be any change until corruption is eradicated. The worst example I will tell about the elections in 2023 in Nigeria were one of the worst ever. Very obvious frauds, manipulation, corruption. Common people are deprived from their democratic right to vote. And when you visit villages, for example, in Delta State, they don't have the possibility to go to the vote station because they have no transportation, they have no money to go there. So, reasons of violence and insurrection that always was blamed the people of terrorism, for example, in Delta State. Insurrection always points in one direction: the absence of effective, human-orientated government. And human rights are only for those who can afford to pay for them. This is not how humanity should develop in the future. When I would like to propose strategies, when you give charity, charity doesn't reach the people who really need it. What you should do is empowerment, investments directly in people, education, healthcare, infrastructure. Invest in people you can follow, you know. Don't invest in institutions or in politicians, as long as this corruption is so high. And also don't invest in political parties, because this is, the money stays within the party and not reaches the common people. Don't do charity without empowerment strategies. When you look in a refugee village, the people stay there for years. They don't come out because there is nothing what helps them to improve their life, to get education or something like that. And I also have a message for religion and the church. People in Africa believe in God. They are enthusiastic. I was few times in church. They were singing. They were, and I saw a man write to me. He was handicapped. I didn't know what his medical issue was, but I saw that he gave his last money for the church, for the pastor, to pray for him. But what the church should do to motivate people to use their God-given brain for action. People should be motivated to peacefully fight for their God-given basic human rights. I mentioned Mr. Gandhi. He reached a lot with peaceful actions, but of course humanity was not so far. The consequences, you know, were the separation of India and Pakistan, and there was a lot of problem, but this was not the guilt of Gandhi. Gandhi was one of the greatest men on this planet. I finish my little talk. I have hope, because the people in Nigeria, I learned to know, were strong, but they need empowerment. They need to get the possibility to develop. When you look at the life expectancy of the normal Nigerian, this is less than 55 years. And with 55 years, I started my third career. So it was a beginning, and there is the end. Mankind has no future without Africa. Africa is the cradle of mankind, and in the future, mankind would look different, because there won't be a differentiation between Chinese, black, and white. No, it will be a mixture. Mankind should stay together. And I would like to mention the words of Nelson Mandela. When I was last time, I visited his resort. It was impressive. Nelson Mandela said, poverty is not an accident. Like slavery and apartheid, it's man-made and can be removed by actions of human being, and this gives me hope. As long as I live, I will do work to help mankind. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Doc. Wow. Have we learned anything? Do you have questions for Prof? No? Okay. I think there is a quick question. Can I have the other microphone, please? Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, I listened carefully to Professor. I saw that almost everything he's saying is what is already known. It's not unknown. We know Africa, you use a point case of Nigeria. Nigeria, if you look at the issue of Nigeria, it's not everything that is negative, like you said. There are a lot of positive things there. And when you have traveled very wide, and when you enter the aircraft to Nigeria, you see that it is only the white people that 80% of the people in the aircraft are Europeans. So what are they going there to do? Are they going there to exploit the people, or they are going there to develop the people? In my own context, I think they are still going there to exploit the people. And that is the issue we have to address. If you look, for instance, a lot of things happen. Okay, my question now is, how can we develop Africa without, you said, man-made problem. Now, apart from the man-made problem, what is it that can be done that will allow the Europeans not to influence the people, because everything is being influenced by the Europeans? Thank you.
Keep it brief, because you're going to join our panel session as well, so you can...
Yes, you're right. It's known, everything is known, but the Europeans just want to exploit Africa, and they want to keep it poor. And the governments are puppets of the Western countries. And when you look now to Nigeria, the president is accused to be a drug dealer. This is not adequate. And the power of Africa and Nigeria is in the people. The young people, they have to stand up peacefully and to ask the people with power, give us a chance, because you will die and we will still live further, and we want to develop the country.
Thank you, sir. Later, because we have to move on, there's going to be a panel session where you can ask more questions. Thank you. Albena Jones, are you ready? Okay, you can move. Yes.
Okay, good morning everyone again. I think probably while we are waiting for the presentation to upload, I will just give you a quick introduction of myself and of what I do. My presentation is not going to be very standard. I want us to all interact, because the topic that I'm talking about is actually the tourism in Africa, harnessing the potential of African tourism. And I'm sure you all have a strong opinion on that. So I would love to hear from all of you and obviously get your input at some point as well. As I said, my name is Albena Jones. I'm half African and half European. My father was a doctor, a medical doctor from South Sudan, and my mother is from Bulgaria. She was a mechanical engineer. So it's a bit of a weird combination, but he was a student, a medical student in Bulgaria, and that is how they actually met with my mom, and I'm the result. So I was born in Bulgaria, but then I went to the UK, and I've lived in London for 17 years. Then I went back to Bulgaria to obviously pass on my knowledge, everything that I learned in London. I'm going to talk about tourism because tourism is my degree, and that's my first love, let's put it that way. Though I ended up later in life doing something completely different. I did start with diploma in airline and travel studies from Greenwich University, and my first job was actually in travel. I worked for Balkan Bulgarian Airlines in London, and then for various corporate travel organizations. So this is why I've got a very good knowledge and expertise on the travel and tourism industry, and I feel that Africa has got the greatest potential that is underdeveloped, as we will see in the presentation. What else about me? So I've got vast business knowledge because as a travel agent, I ended up working as the Bloomberg financial travel agent. And we were an implant in the Bloomberg building in London. And when they found out about all the languages that I speak, they said, well, why don't you come and work for us? And I was like, I don't know what you guys do. I don't have a financial degree. I'm not an economist. So I've got absolutely no idea about what all this is. I'm here to kind of, you know, book your tickets, your hotels. And they said, oh, okay. Then in about 6 months, this is when Eastern Europe started really developing. And obviously being born in Bulgaria and brought up there, I do speak Bulgarian, I do speak Russian. From my time in Africa, I learned a little bit of Arabic as well. So as the Eastern European markets were developing, they said, well, please do come and work for us, because then the EU hadn't happened yet. So business with Russia was booming. And they made me an offer which was like 3 times my wages as their travel agent. And they said, we're going to train you in the first year. You're actually going to be working for us, and we will be training you. So I would have been stupid to refuse that. So I started from being a Bloomberg travel agent. I became a Bloomberg financial analyst, which was quite good. Are we ready? Nearly there? Okay, so you're going to be listening to me for longer. And this is how I ended up spending about 10 years in Bloomberg, and I really learned a lot about the financial markets. I got the vast business experience that I have today. With all that knowledge, previously in travel and then in finance, I did decide to go back to Bulgaria. Circumstances were such, and I wanted to pass on my knowledge to everyone there. I think, yep, we're ready to start, okay. So as you can see, harnessing Africa's tourism potential is what I'm going to talk about. If you play it, it kind of rolls, but when we're stopping it, if I do this, can we stop it? Because I don't have a remote at the moment. Thank you. Yeah, we're going to, if you can pause it please, look at the current situation in Africa. So these are the main points: the current situation and the underdeveloped potential of the African continent. As you can see, the current statistics is that Africa has gained 65% of the tourism that actually existed before the pandemic. As we all know, COVID killed the tourism industry. No one could fly anywhere, no one could go anywhere, and Africa is the continent. Sorry, could you pause it, please? Thank you. That has the quickest regain of visitors, because Africa is the undiscovered continent. So everyone really has discovered the potential of Africa, not only the business potential, but the tourism potential as well. And it's a very, very popular destination, as we will see. But sadly, the Africans are probably not realizing that, and we are not utilizing the potential that is there. There's basically so much that can be done, but everyone is focusing on politics, everyone is focusing on oil, and people are not focusing on the God-given riches of the continent, which needs to be developed. So looking at the current situation, we are going to look at the top 10 destinations. This is the latest statistics. So I was going to ask here for some guesses, but the screen has already given us the #1 destination for Africa, and this is actually Egypt. So as we go through, can you... we have the Egyptians in the house that are clapping already. So if you hear your country or a country that you have visited in the top 10, which are already, can we slow them down a little bit or just keep pausing so we can go together through the countries, please? So if we can kindly go back. Yes, Egypt is in the house. Okay, let's do the next one. South Africa. Any South Africans? Next year. Okay, let's go. Tanzania, as we know, the amazing animal world in Tanzania, which we will also talk about that. Kenya, you can't tell me there's no Kenyans in the house. Where are the Kenyans? Well done. Okay, great. Tunisia is in the top 5 as well. And then we have Ghana. I think there's Ghanaians here. Thank you. Ethiopia, Morocco, of course, Namibia, beautiful safaris in Namibia, and the last one is Uganda. So this is the current top 10 in tourism in Africa. All these countries have got something to offer, but as I said, we are not utilizing what Africa has. So what I've listed is the obvious, the nature and the animals. Can we have the next slide? So beautiful nature. What we see in Africa, we don't have anywhere else in the world, as you know. Besides nature, we have the animals. Can someone tell me what are the top 5 animals in Africa? The big 5, as they call them in Kenya. Lion, okay, that's 1. Elephant, 2. Giraffe, no. Crocodile, no. Oh, come on. Come on, look, the screen is now helping us. So we were missing the rhino, the buffalo, exactly, and the leopard. So as we can see at the moment on the screen, these are our top 5, and we have them in Kenya and in Tanzania. So please do remember them. We are Africans. We must know what are the top 5. Animals are there, which you cannot see anywhere else in the world. And as we know, and as we saw, that Kenya, Tanzania, the countries that have those animals have a big share of the tourism industry because they have the animals there. But there is a lot more to Africa than its animals. And in terms of development, these are the 3 points that through my own research, I think is what is going to bring the development of Africa forward. We have adventure tourism, beach tourism, and sports development. So if we look at the adventure tourism, first of all, we can see that there is so many activities that can be done, but no one is probably doing. And as we will hear this afternoon, we have the ladies here from Carta Holiday. They are a Bulgarian company, but they have realized the potential of the African tourism. And with my help, they are looking for the underdeveloped tourist destinations. So besides the obvious Egypt, Kenya, Tanzania, their agency is doing something unique. Even during the pandemic, they organized trips to Zanzibar because there was no closure there because of COVID. So this is the kind of input that we really need. We need to develop the adventure tourism. There is so much that can be done besides the traditional safaris. We also have the beach tourism. We're running a little bit ahead, so if we can slow it down, please. If we can go back to the beach, thank you. It's not only, help me with the beach destinations in Africa. Where do we have beaches in Africa? Anyone? Come on, help me out. In Alexandria, okay, so Egypt. Yes, you in Egypt, you guys have everything. You have the pyramids, you have the beaches, diving, everything. This is why you're number one. However, there are beaches in South Africa, as we know, in Kenya. We've got Malindi, Mombasa, which are great beach destinations. And Gambia, of course. Last year, all of us were in Gambia, and we really enjoyed the Voice Achievers Award in Gambia, and we enjoyed the beach as well. So, you know, after the conference, we would all go to great restaurants and enjoy the local beaches. So thank you for reminding me. But funny enough, Nigeria has them as well. And you people are not doing anything about it. Where are the Nigerians in the house? Aha, look, so many of you. So what's up with that? When I went to Lagos, I was amazed at the beautiful beaches that you have in Lagos. And the Nigerian coast is obviously, because of the Atlantic, I guess, it's got these big waves. So it's not somewhere where you can, like in the Caribbean, as you would confirm, our Caribbean friends here, you cannot just go for a casual, nice swim and have the lovely fish around you. In Nigeria, you have those big waves, which is excellent for what? Thank you, Ken. See, you know it. Why aren't you people doing it? You're working on it. Come on. Come on. You're losing money. See, all these surfers, why do they have to go all the way to South Africa or wherever? They can easily enjoy all kinds of windsurfing. They have all these new kinds of surfs, like paragliding, whatever they are. That can easily be done in Nigeria, and the beaches are beautiful. And there weren't even restaurants. I think there was like one small coffee shop in a hut, and that was it. It's like, what? If this is in Europe, it would be like that. Everyone would be there. No one was lying on the beach, no one was walking on the beach. So beautiful and romantic. See, this is just a vivid example that beach tourism could be absolutely great. And the next is the sports development. Now, when we think about sports in Africa, everyone thinks, oh, young talent, yes, basketball players, footballers, all these young kids that want to go and play abroad. This is the focus. Well, I'm sorry, but this is wrong. Instead of outbound, it should be inbound. Why not attract the rest of the world and the Europeans to come to Africa and to watch these kids play? Keep those kids, keep the talent in Africa. I think possibly our friends from Egypt again are going to vouch for that, but they have excellent sports facilities. They have halls, arenas, where basketball tournaments can be organized. I'm sure a lot of the countries have got big, massive stadiums where we can have all kinds of world championships, athletics, football. Why is that given to the rest of the world and not to Africa? So it will be much cheaper as well for all of them. So Carta Holidays, this is something for you guys to consider, sports tourism. So any major events that are done in Africa, it could be put together as a package, and actually could be sold. This is my opinion. I mean, as you know, we have great basketball players, but they're all abroad. We have great football players from Africa. Again, they're all abroad. You see an African sports person winning gold for the Netherlands. There's nothing wrong with that. We love it. But, you know, we know the origin of that person is not from the Netherlands, but is from Africa. So let's all do it for ourselves before we do it for others. Or let's have an equal share. There's nothing wrong with going abroad and making money, but we can make that money and we can actually make even more money and more development to Africa if we structure it properly and we keep it in the continent. So these are the top three that I think we should really focus on when we talk about the development of tourism. And the next slide, please. Right, this statistics is very current, and you can see what has happened to the tourism in 2021, and this is a prediction up to 2025. You can see that in 2022, obviously, something was done right. We don't know what it is, but we can see this great increase in the tourism in Africa, which is straight after COVID. People want nature. People want to be in touch with nature. People want fresh fruits. They want some new perspective. In the supermarkets, when we go, what are the most expensive products? There is a section that is, what section is that? With the natural products. They say, oh, this is bio whatever. So you are actually paying 2, 3, or 4 euro more for something that is free-range chicken eggs or plants that are grown I don't know where, and this is all because it's natural. Well, in Africa it is natural, and the rest of the world has realized that, and they're getting it at a bargain price as well. So this is why in 2022 we can see there was a big jump in the tourism industry. This is the current statistics for this year. As you can see, there's a bit of a decline, and look what they're predicting for the future, that it's gonna start dropping. We don't want that to happen. So it really depends on all of us to implement the ideas, be it surfing in Nigeria, be it eco-lodges, which is the next thing that I'm going to talk about and share as an idea, as a project that I think Africans should focus on more. We have to maximize the ecotourism. So this is the main point, and this is my main advice as a financial analyst over the year, as somebody who lives in Europe. I travel a lot, and I can see what people want. I mean, COVID has taught us that really we need to live healthy. We need to be together, and we need to do what makes us happy. And Africa is the continent of the future. Can you pause that for a second? Yeah, too far. So, next one. Okay, last year when we were in Gambia, I presented my back to basics theory, which is something completely different. I'm not going to talk about it now, but just to say that back to basics, I encourage people really to go back into the past. The world we live in is so fast-paced. Everyone is talking about technology, everyone is talking about, I'm not gonna say all the rest of the things, but you know what I mean. Now, even if you want to write something, you just ask, and it's all written for you. You don't have to use your brain. And this is what our young ones are taught, which is actually wrong. We need to go back to the virtues of the past. Look at how our ancestors did things. We need to teach our young ones to do a replication of that. So, if we look at eco-lodges, do you know what an eco-lodge is? Anyone? Eco-hotels? Excellent, the Caribbean, they're doing it already. So this is something that will really attract people. This is like a time travel back into the past. There it should say no technology, so I apologize for my assistant that wrote the presentation bit. No technology, only serenity of nature and physical activities. So you would do, instead of watching television, you'd probably go fishing or something like that. Simplification for maximum fulfillment is what I would encourage. And this is it really. I think my time is up. I'm being told that, but we can speak more again. So thank you very much for your attention.
Yeah, thank you very much. Just a quick one. If there is questions, we will have a session next where we can answer all the questions. But we want to move to the next stage. And can I introduce Benedetta? Yeah, just come on stage. I'll do your, don't worry about the background. I know there were a lot of questions on tourism in Africa, because just when she's preparing, how many of us go back to Africa or go back at home annually? Biannually? Annually? Okay, let's count quickly while she's preparing. How many of us go back at home annually? Okay. Biannually? Quarterly? Quarterly? Okay, it's a challenge for you. Why we can't manage to go quarterly. I'll let you introduce. My co-moderator is also giving us something for today, so please introduce yourself and what you're going to do.
Everyone, can you hear me clearly? Okay, this is perfect. So I hope everything is going fine so far. Everybody has enough water. We're going to have a coffee break in the next minutes. But now we're just going to have an interactive session, because I believe it's important to move away from the traditional keynotes and have more engagement with the audience. We were able to hear your background because you briefly introduced yourself before we started. So I'm going to give you the opportunity to add to my presentation. But before I do that, let me just quickly introduce myself. Some of you already know me, especially those of you who live in Almere, because I used to be a former politician. For the last 4 years, I was involved in the local city council, and I was able to, introduce, let's say, women-friendly policies and make sure that the voices of the youths are heard. And when it comes to this topic, the inclusion, actually the financial and economic inclusion of our women and youth in Africa, I believe we have a lot of work to do. And Friends of Africa and the African diaspora, we are here gathered today because I believe that Africa is in crisis. Can I be honest? Can I be frank? Because I was raised in this country, even though I was born in the Caribbean like my sister over there. But I know that my ancestors are from Africa. So they taught me one competency, and that is to be straightforward. Dutch people hear it a lot when they travel. You are too direct, so I'm going to be a bit direct today. I hope you bear with me. You can agree with me, or we agree to disagree. Okay? I'm just going to share some few information or data with you, but I promised myself that I'm not going to give you a lecture, because every day nowadays is on internet. Every information, all data is on Google. Okay? So thank you so much. Now, when it comes to our African leaders, many has already been said. I'm not going to repeat your content, not going to repeat what Albena said, opportunities that are plenty and not tapped into. We're not going to talk about that. And sure, we have to applaud the projects that have been successful so far, the many investments that have been made. But as a humanitarian, I always make it a priority to travel to Africa and then the African villages. Because, for example, if I go to Nigeria and I stay at the Transcorp, I'm going to have a jolly good time. I'm going to really enjoy myself. But as I move to the villages, and as Albena also said, we went to the Gambia last year, and we speak with those living in the rural areas, my heart breaks. Because as Dr. rightly said, there is so much work to be done. African leaders are failing the African citizens. It's a big disgrace. What can we, friends from the African diaspora, the African diaspora, or friends of Africa do? We can join hands. You know, we might not be able to change the whole world, but each one can reach one. And I know there are able people today. We heard about our friend from the UAE. He invests a lot of money in Africa. And so we meet a lot of business leaders. For sure, empowerment is needed. More inclusion is needed. But there is a structural problem, because all of you know that Africa is rich in resources. We are such a blessed continent. And when it comes to the African youth, we have to acknowledge the fact that when it comes to human capital, the resources are literally draining in the Mediterranean Sea. As a migration expert, I really feel embarrassed to see our African youths in Lampedusa. It's a big disgrace. Our African leaders should open their eyes to their needs, not only thinking about their own children who are studying abroad, maybe in the American university or the UK beautiful institutes. No, what we need is leaders that have the interest of the African youths and women at heart. So I want to open the floor, because there's so much I prepared and I didn't even look at my speech. But because of time, because we want to stick to time, because this is a program organized in the Netherlands and we stick to time and we really want to give you the opportunity to also network, I want to open the floor and my colleague Abeka is going to help you. The first question I would like to answer or to ask the public is when it comes to the inclusion or the financial inclusion of women. As you know, many projects have been launched when it comes to microcredit financing and other facilities or actually options to invest in their businesses, including the youth. And most of you also know that even graduates nowadays find it very difficult to get a job. So is there anybody here that maybe has experience with these kind of projects in an African country and would like to share their point of view or maybe another perspective? Thank you.
Maybe if I simplify that question, and I just want to make it interesting. How many of us men who are here, we share our account details with our spouses? No, I know. Okay. Yeah, they are there. But in terms of management and project, do we have, I know someone I'll force to give the mic, and I know they are going to contribute because I know they do a lot of projects with women. And would you mind to, the question, can you read the question one more time, please?
Experience, maybe working with African women or youth regarding this topic. So you can quickly share, because we know that after the coffee break you're going to also give a presentation, but please feel free.
Which means I shouldn't be spilling my tea in advance, right? Yes, I have experience working with African youth and African women, because I have a great passion for Africa. I have lived in Africa. I have done business in Africa, and it was successful. So when people talk about Africa from far, I kind of think, okay, maybe they need to come back home first. Let's talk. Now, a lot is happening in Africa. A lot of innovation is happening in Africa. Entrepreneurship is in another level. And when we talk about Africa, we need to recognize that Africa is a continent, it's not a country. So each country has their own unique challenges and opportunities. Look at Rwanda, look at what is happening there, look at their past history and story, but they've transformed. When we come to Nigeria with our population, the projects I do is to support women and youth, especially those in agro-food businesses, to learn how to add some more value to their raw materials so they can package it, build a brand that they can ship, that can sell within Africa and also sell outside of Africa. And so many people are looking for this knowledge exchange. And that's what we should be talking about today. How do we, as Africans, the leaders of Africa, we are all leaders of Africa. So if Africa is failing, we should blame ourselves. We need to be the change we want to see. And I can tell you, Africa has improved from what we used to know. The narrative has to change. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, because I know you have a lot of projects in Africa. I will give my sister also here to add one or two.
Can I quickly add to that? Please. Because today I believe that this is a safe space and we agree to disagree. And from my point of view, and also as a humanitarian, I believe that Africa is still behind compared to the rest of the world. I have traveled to many parts of Africa, and I'm even married to a Nigerian, and I travel to Africa at least 2 times a year. And one thing is, I have to be personal about it. African diaspora, hopefully one day, will be able to return and build back Africa better. But as of now, we are all here comfortable. Most of us didn't come from Africa. We came from Europe, USA, and other Western worlds. We cannot go back. The African diaspora at this moment cannot go back to Africa because African leaders are failing African citizens. So we have to be honest. I'm not here to tell fairy tales or fables. I'm here for the truth. And only if we acknowledge this truth, we can move forward. Thank you.
Okay. I'll give Chebe.
I'll just take it up from where you stop. African diaspora cannot go back. I'm saying we're going back. We can go back and we will go back because we have to see it in a way that our leaders are failing us, which is right. But if we say, okay, they're failing us, we are not going, then we are not moving. So in that sense, we have to go back and we are going back. I'll just say 1 or 2 projects that I am involved in. So like I said, I'm a community builder as well, even though I'm a media journalist, that's my profession. So in Berlin, I work for a project from the city of Friedrichshain-Kreuzberg. So what we do is we fund micro projects, like up to 5,000 euros. And my part as an African, I focus on networking and public relations. As well, build a community of African descent in terms of empowerment, but focusing on racism and discrimination, and especially women. I founded last year a project called Schwarze Frauen Cafe, that is the Black Women Cafe. We support them with finances, and as Black women, especially coming from underdeveloped countries like the Gambia, to actually come out of this bubble of isolation, meet other women that are not Africans, you know, get involved in the society, because I realized that as African women with tradition and cultures coming from a country like the Gambia, we are like, culturally, we're not really outside when it comes to leadership, profession, and so on, even though now the trend is changing. So with this experience, I decided to build a community, not just from Gambian, but women doing this. And since last year, I got involved in a project called Young African Entrepreneurs. So it's a project funded by the UNOS, United Nations for South-South Cooperation. So the idea is to travel through the global South and empower young Africans. Last year they were in Cameroon and trained over 100 young Africans, and the winner was invited to Germany, even though she couldn't make it at some point. I joined them in January in Sierra Leone, where we trained again over 100 young African leaders in all sectors of businesses. Now we are mentoring over 30 of these young Africans, not just mentoring them, but to pave ways for them to start a business or develop their business careers and so on. So I am saying we can go back. I was involved in a project on more of migration. How do we tackle migration, irregular migration, through economic empowerment and development?
Thank you so much. Put your hands together for her.
Yeah,
because of time.
Can
I just wrap up this session?
Please.
And I think there will be more time to have interesting discussions. So I want to thank all of you for being so open. I know many more wanted to share their point of view, but we'll have some time today. And please feel free to meet me during the breaks, the several breaks that will be there. And Abeka, you'll take it from here.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Benedita. And a round of applause. You know, when we started, I said, I've had a privilege to go to 50 different countries in Africa. The most unfortunate part is that when we talk about Africa, sometimes we talk about a single village we went to or a city we were in. But there are two things I want to tell. When we talk about Africa, we need to understand three things. One, our culture. Number two, our diversity. And then number three, our uniqueness. So it's good to talk about Africa, and mostly we do talk about the bad things about Africa. But I don't know how many of you are in technology and knows that one of the best product in your Apple was discovered by an African. I don't know how many of you know that Tesla, the Tesla engineer, the first Tesla engineer was African. So let's look at and that's why I don't like talking about my personal experience, but I've trained journalists, and we happen to have in three different continents. So if you have time, you can check Moving Minds Africa. Moving Minds Africa is a group of journalists who come together to train the budding and upcoming journalists. So we are in West Africa, we are in South Africa, in Malawi, we are in Kenya, covering the East Africa and all that. And if you see what these guys are doing, you will say, we are still behind in Europe. The truth of the matter is that we don't know how to tell our stories. We only like to complain. We only like to murmur, but we never know how to tell our story and say, this is us. But the problem, the moment we become somebody, everybody wants to associate with you. And you remember, for example, when Obama was a senator, nobody wanted to associate with him. But when he became president, everybody was a brother, especially where I come from, Kenya. Okay? Anyway, I don't want to take too much of your time. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to have a break. As I said, gents are on the other side, ladies are behind there, and then we can go behind there for a small break. Then when we come back, the next session is going to be, I think, more firebrand, because the discussion is very, very something passionate to everyone here, and doing business and sharing experiences, doing both businesses in Africa and in Europe. So we take a break. Everything is ready? Yeah. How many minutes? 15 minutes break. Okay, we take a coffee break for 15 minutes, and then when we come back for the next session. Thank you.